Good evening, race fans. We're on our way home here in the truck with our trailer. I've got Indiana Bones here and joining us with Coach Clem and Coach Marguerite. Headed home from the Head of the Charles 60th anniversary 2025 edition. I'm gonna give a quick rundown of the weekend. We had 4 men's crews racing this weekend. But we had 2 alumni 8s racing in the alumni 8 and the club 8 category. The collegiate athletes, the current athletes, raced today in the collegiate 8 and the collegiate 4. We also had women's alumni or alumnae 8 and an alumnae 4, and we had 2 women's crews racing in a club 4 and a club 8 in yesterday's events. So a busy weekend for the Red Foxes. Boston delivered exceptional conditions both days this year. It was about 60 to 70 degrees. Yesterday there was no wind all day, totally flat, and today it was flat in the morning and ended in a little bit of a blustery afternoon. It was a tailwind on the powerhouse straight, the front part of the course, and then a little bit of a headwind in the latter half of the course. So I'm going to try to go through some of the results. I might have to ask my crew in here for some of the results because I don't remember all of them. But I'll try to be as factual as I can and give our feedback. The Alumni 8, as I discussed in my last video, had Chris Carlson from the U.S. national team and University of Washington, and a former Marist athlete joined them this year for this edition, and that really fired up the group of alumni to train really hard. I think not just to be able to make the boat with Chris, but also to make sure that Chris had a great experience and had a chance to go fast with them. And they started in bow number, I want to say 18 in their event. It was either 18 or 16, and they had a blockbuster race. They stormed past Wisconsin and Michigan, and then Syracuse saw them coming and got out of the way as well. And they ended up moving up from 16th position to 7th. So a huge push up the category for that group. And I thought just a really cool example of why a lot of those men were important varsity 8 athletes when they were at Marist, and why they continue to be great athletes as adults. When the call went out for everyone to train, all of those guys buckled down and trained really hard. And we talk a lot about development in the sport of rowing and what is the important traits that you have to have as an athlete. And at the end of the day, the willingness to do the work is probably the biggest piece. And those guys set this event as a goal for them and did a lot of hard work. I know some of the alumni who made the boat were really pumped by how hard everybody pushed in the training process, and then got a great result. So it's kind of part of the culture of the sport that you do the work, you get the result, and that boat really exemplified that this weekend. The second Alumni 8 were a bunch of great athletes in there. I think just, guys are busy working and didn't have the same amount of time to train with their careers and families and things going on. But I'm gonna have Marguerite pull up their result here because I don't remember exactly what place they came in. They were middle of the pack in their event, the Club 8. And it was really cool to see all those guys. I think they were 26th. We're gonna double check. That's what Liam is telling me. Looked great rowing by. We had 26th confirmed. So they had a great event. I think they passed the crew that started right in front of them from Chicago Rowing Club, and just overall a great group. There were a lot of repeat Charles athletes in there. A lot of past team captains. We had probably some of our best in my time at Marist portside athletes jumping in that boat, and starboard side guys. It was cool to see Brendan McLaughlin. We hadn't seen him since he graduated in 2017, so that was really cool. And so I think those guys had a blast. Both boats had a fantastic time. It was actually really fun talking to Chris Carlson after their race in the Alumni A boat. I think when you're at the speed that he's at and the places he has rowed, you get really used to just starting bow 1 or bow 2, and there's really not a lot of drama during the race. And so you're just kind of grinding, seeing how hard you can pull, and no one's really passing anybody. And so having a kind of more classic head of the Charles experience where they were, passing people and shouting at crews and, a lot of maneuvering and, really in the mix with people, I think was really fun for him. And I know it was fun for the rest of the guys too. So it was a great time with those guys, and certainly really, really cool for myself and Coach Stratton to see all these guys that we've coached over the last 10 years, come back and row together in some all-star boats. And so that was cool to see. We'll be getting up some pictures that Coach Clem got of them over the next couple of days. Huge shout out for him. He was camped out near the Elliott Bridge for a good amount of the weekend, getting some good sniper shots of our athletes coming through the bridge, and that was really cool. The other boats that day, I'm going to get a quick rundown from Marguerite of exactly where they placed. I know the collegiate women, the 4 was kind of middle of the pack,
23rd out of 53.
23rd out of 53 boats, which puts them back in to qualify for next year's program again. And it sounded like they had a good race. The A boat, the varsity 8 for the women, had a fantastic run. They moved up 10 spaces or more.
Yeah.
Moved up into 11th, right?
11th, which is our best finish in the last 20 years.
Wow, best finish in 20 years for the women's 8 in the Club 8 category. So that was really cool. They beat a lot of their MAC conference rivals in that group. So I know they were very excited about having a really good run, and so that was cool. And then the alumni, 8 and 4, how did they do?
The 8 got 25th out of 52, which qualified for next year, and the 4 got 13th out of 22. It's the middle of the pack for them too.
So Saturday's program was awesome. Great to see everybody again. Like, spectacular weather in Boston, and I know everybody enjoyed just meeting and hanging out and celebrating some of these strong guys that have come through. extra special good luck to everyone in those boats. I know Morgan Stippa and Oxel and Derek Durwood are training for the New York Marathon in a couple of weeks. And Chris Carlson is continuing to pursue national team pursuits over the next couple of years. He rode at Worlds this summer in the quad, where they came in 4th place, and he also rode in a new FISA event with the mixed 8, where they also came in 4th place. And Chris has been working through a rib injury, and so we're wishing him all the best and thanking him for joining us this year's edition of the Charles. Was pretty iconic and cool to see him in there. Fast forwarding to today's row, the varsity 4 went first. That boat moved up into 7th place. They started bow number 9 and they finished in 7th. I believe they passed 1 or 2 boats during the race. Last year's crew started kind of middle rear of the pack and made it up into the top 10, which was really cool. This year's boat, their erg scores were about the same as last year's crew, but we started further up. We got a smoother run. Coach Stratton and I felt like this boat was a little smoother and rode a little bit better, a little bit more efficiently. Coach Clem and I were looking at their splits from the race, and Clem was commenting that they were in the top 3 to 5 crews over the first 2 or 3 time splits, and then just fell off a little bit at the end. And I think that's a really cool indicator of how they approached the piece. They sent it really hard right out of the gate, and didn't have the juice to finish the job at that level, but clearly have the eagerness and the willingness to push. And so obviously they were hoping for medal in that crew, and a little bit of disappointment that we didn't get there, but we pushed the pile and move up 2 places and continue to be in a successful position to move up next year. So really cool stuff from that boat. The varsity 8, really similar result. They started bow. They finished last year in 21st. They started bow number 18 today, and they finished in 8th position. Can we check if there were any penalties that might have changed that? Yeah,
I thought there was one that they got up.
They finished in 8th position. The collegiate 8 was, from a coxing perspective, a complete and utter disaster, and a good example of why these hooligans should never be allowed back at this race. There was 0 gentlemanly behavior from anyone. There were numerous crashes. Everybody was racing within 20 seconds of one another, so the competition was incredibly tight. At the front of the pack, LaSalle was bow 1, and they broke their rudder going into the Elliott turn and slammed into the Cambridge Boat Club dock. They placed 8th. So confirming, they placed 8th in their event. That crash caused a holdup of a bunch of boats behind. It looked like Holy Cross managed to kind of escape the disaster best, and they ended up winning. They got a clean line through to the rest of the finish. And Tufts placed 2nd, I believe, for the 2nd time. So they'll probably be a little bit upset. And Wesleyan snuck into third position. The Marist guys passed Williams' B crew very early in the race, and they were also showing splits that had them in third position, fourth position, up in the medals, up until the last time split. They, all the way through the Elliott turn, were trying to get the Wesleyan B crew, who they were passing, to yield and get out of their way. And the Wesleyan coxswain persisted in pushing Marist into the buoy line, clashing oars multiple times. And then as a result of that, on the final turn, past the Belmont Boat Club, Marist ended up on the outside of both the Wesleyan B boat and another crew. I believe it was Temple's B crew as well. So the 8 was, they were pleased with how much we had moved up. I think they should be pleased. The big goal, the primary goal of the weekend, was to get back into the top 10, which we did. And they moved up 13 spots from last year's result, which is an enormous improvement. Obviously frustrated that they feel like they lost time at the end of the piece. And this is the nature of the Head of the Charles. This is this race. There's a lot of drama. It's a very tight course. And as I said in my previous video, a win here comes with all three, a lot of great fitness and some fantastic coxing, as well as a little bit of luck. And I think we had very good fitness today, but probably not enough to win it outright. I think that we had very good coxing today that can be a little bit cleaner, and I also think that we just didn't have as much luck as you need, especially starting as far back as we did, to get a win or into the top 5 today. And this is also part of the nature of this race, that the further back you start in the lineup, the more susceptible you are to the various crashes and drama that happen ahead of you. And just from having watched it, there was a lot of drama, a lot more than maybe is typical, but maybe is pretty typical of the Collegiate 8 event. And part of that is that a lot of these Collegiate 8 crews are very, very close in speed. And so that's just the nature of this race. The varsity comes away very pumped for next week. We will be down at the head of the Schuylkill with the full crew, and they'll get another shot at some of the crews that were just ahead of them. In particular, I think Temple and St. Joe's, who were racing with us today, and then also LaSalle, who looks like they're going to be a very close competitor as well. I know that boat will be very hungry to deliver a full race at the speed that they're capable of, without as many distractions. And I know they'll be excited as well for another run at some of these crews at the Princeton Chase in a couple of weeks as well. I think the rest of the crew, the second varsity, will be excited to be getting home this week and getting prepped up in some of our other crews. We're going to actually have our full 2V racing, as well as a 3V and a 4V at the Schuylkill. So we're going to get a chance to see all 4 of our 8s in action, as well as a wide variety of small boats next weekend. So for the Schuylkill, we have entered 4 varsity pairs which will be racing in the championship pair event. We will have 2 freshman fours. One of those freshman fours is our 4 recruited freshmen with our recruited freshman coxswain, Maddie. And so we have high hopes for that boat to be in a potential medal position for the freshman 4 event. We have our second freshman 4 is our novice 4 that'll have 4 of our new novice rowers rowing in there. So we're very excited with those guys to get them their first race ever, which will be fun and exciting. And Coach Clem has been working those guys up, getting them ready. We then have 2 varsity 4s that will be a mixture of different guys. I'm going to have to go back and look at the exact layout, but I believe we tried to set it up where it was kind of by class, which we thought was fun. There was like a sophomore boat and a senior boat, but I'm going to double check and see if that's exactly how those crews were laid out. And we'll do a little preview video of that event. Then in the afternoon, we're also going to have a quad racing with 4 of our athletes who are strong scullers. And then we'll also, during the afternoon programming, have all 4 of our varsity 8s. The varsity boat is going to race in the championship 8 event, and then the other 3 crews, the second varsity, third varsity, and fourth varsity, will all be racing in the club championship 8 event. So we're looking forward to that. A special thanks to the alumni, the parents, lots of our current team members who took a lot of time to come out and support the crew this weekend. It was great to see everybody there. There was excellent Marist University support from the fans, and we are excited to have some more fans and the Philly Mafia down in Philly next weekend for the head of the Schuylkill with the full team there. So thanks again, everybody. We hope that we'll have some good racing next weekend, and we'll look forward to seeing you there. Go Red Foxes.